Yo, 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 GM. We are live with episode 50 of the Mooncast. And it's been a minute. We actually took a break there for like almost 2 months since our last episode. But we're back. And we got some awesome guests here today. So we're going to hop right into it. Let's get into the VC with everyone and do some introductions. All right, GM guys, we're live. We're on the stream. We here. So as always, we start off with introductions for everyone. I'll go ahead and start off. I'm GhostcatJoypad. You're a host here for the Mooncast, Web3 content creator and founder of Moondance. Maddox, why don't you go ahead and go next?
Yeah, thanks. My name's Maddox. I've been a part of the Web3 space for the last 5 years or so, testing games, event and tournament host, and community manager, along with like some security stuff peppered in there. Just been a big fan of the space and as much of a part of it as I can be. Lately, and just recently, like we founded, I'm one of the co-founders of Dream Test Labs, and that's what I do primarily today. So that's
nice. Hantao, take it away.
Hey, what's up? I'm Hachi, one of the co-founders at Moku, and we build products in crypto over the last 4 years.
Short and sweet, just like me. Bus, last but certainly not least, let's go.
Hello, I'm Bus. I am COO over at Portals. Portals is a browser-based no-code platform for building and sharing games.
Bus cut out because
Oh,
Gomez, the founder, doesn't want to buy him a better headset. So
I
guys,
do have a better headset now. Can you hear me or no?
Yeah, you just cut out a little bit at the end there, but we heard.
Okay.
but yes, well, we got to get Gomez to get his COO better headset. So yeah, we usually do some news and updates that happened within the Web3 space, Web3 gaming space, maybe Solana, and a lot has happened since our last episode. Obviously, market crash. We all felt that in some way or another. Whether or not you hold a lot, it kind of sucks to see regardless. So hopefully we can bounce back even more so. But in terms of like Web3 gaming space, there have been a few playtests and launches, but none that like I'm a part of. I know Maddox, you've recently played a few games that have come out, but I haven't seen anything really noticeable, at least from what I'm looking at. I know the Solana handheld, the PSG1 were finally shipping out. A lot of people got those. I still want to see some gameplay of like solid games on there, see how it handles it, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I haven't seen anything too noticeable. I don't know if you guys have seen anything on your timeline, anything that you'd like to share, any updates from projects that you've seen.
Reaper Actual was one of the last ones that we
Yeah.
were like active when they jumped on. They had a launch party that was delayed to the 8th, so a couple weeks ago, and they were it was an interesting launch in general. One, it was on a chain that like not a lot of us are really used to gaming on, is Etherlink, and we were a little concerned about how that was going to go, just for like readiness of buying game packs, which was the access to playing in their alpha test. There was 10,000 spots as their small version of their game. They're for those that don't know, everybody here I think does, but it's supposed to be an extraction shooter, persistent level with 100 on 100 base battles is their ultimate goal. It's not there yet, but they're it's the team that put together Planet Side 2, John Smedley leading that, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty highly anticipated. We're excited to see what they put together. But the overall, like we were there for the launch day and just kind of like hanging out in the Discord and Didn't anticipate it, but we were helping people onboard and stuff like that. But the approach is weird because you could either purchase one of the game packs and be a part of the Web3 aspect of the game, or you could just buy it like any other game on Steam or on Epic. Steam is not yet available, but so you could just go out and purchase the game like you would any other game for full price, or you could go and buy a game pack, which got you a base, which was the minimum requirement to be a part of that test. So interesting all around. Lots. I do see comms still from patches and stuff like that, so they're staying active on it, but brand new.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other big hurdle was just like high minimum requirement specs to play smoothly. That was the other.
Plus onboarding was kind of a
onboarding a little tough, a little bit.
But yeah, Buzz, Hantel, if you guys see anything on the timeline that caught your attention.
We had our recent launch with Axie Rescue last week, which has been fun. That was a charity event we did. It about 120,000 in attracted stake in the first 24 hours, and then we have our partners branded axolotls going live starting next week. So that's been kind of taking up most of my time.
Dude,
a lot of fun.
I forgot about that.
Game.
That was pretty awesome. That was a fun experience. Yeah. It's crazy the amount of sponsors that the team had too for so essentially for this game, projects were able to donate 100 Sol to get like a bulk mint of those companion NFTs, and they can withdraw that after 90 days, but the fees go to like charity for helping save axolotls IRL. So really, really awesome charity that was set up by the team that made this game on Portals. And there was like how many sponsors did they have?
There's 8 sponsors right now that have done the 100 Sol, and then they're actually already lining up sponsors for next season.
That's crazy. That's pretty awesome. It's really cool. I'll put the link in the description too about that, because the charity is really cool. It's very detailed on like what exactly they're doing with the fees and the funds and where it's going to, essentially to help the businesses in the area where there's axolotls or on the lake, to help build a better infrastructure around there. So it's not as impactful to the environment as it is currently. So it's very detailed there. That was a really awesome thing that happened last week too, but that's going to be ongoing. But yeah, Hantao, anything you've seen, experienced?
Outside of our own products on the timeline, it's just been primarily FUD. OpenSea did their airdrop. I got an orb that means nothing. Seeing a lot of FUD around games still.
Yeah,
people are finally capitulating on Web3 gaming. So yeah, just a lot of FUD mainly. That's
news too. That's still news and updates, honestly. It sucks to see, honestly, but I mean, most of the people, dude, they like, everyone keeps falling for these obvious rugs, and it's like, bro, if you want the space to change, stop going for those projects and like pay attention to the ones actually building. But that's a whole other topic too. But so we can get into like what you guys are building and the things that you're on more, so better overviews of what you're doing. So I think we'll start with Hantao. What are you building, and like give us like the summary of the project that you're doing.
Yeah, sure. So we're building something called Grand Arena, which is our take on what a future Web3 product looks like. And there's 2 main components. One is a daily fantasy layer. The way we're changing that is, instead of just picking a player, you actually have cards instead, and there's more collectability, similar to Fantasy Top. And then what they're based on is actually AI NFTs, which are Moki's, our collection, that will be playing 24/7. And the reason for that is because we also believe that AI content is going to take over all content channels in the future. It's going to be hard to tell what's real or what's not real. And we just did our pre-sale. It just concluded, and we raised about 1.5 million RON.
Hey, congrats, dude. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was a quick overview how can people get into your project and what you're building? What would be like your recommendation for people to hop in and experience like that new arena?
Yeah, so the launch will probably be like late November, maybe early December, but the easiest way is to get a booster box. They're on secondary, so just search up Grand Arena in OpenSea or Run and Market, and you can get some cards. And in that box, you'll open up card packs, you'll collect a bunch of them, and you can enter in contests. And all of that will be competing towards at least a $1 million minimum guarantee prize pool.
Sheesh. Okay, pretty awesome. We can dive further into some questions. I kind of want to just get everyone's summary of their project. So, Maddox, we'll go ahead and go to you. What you're building, and what the summary of your project is.
Yeah, totally. So like so Dream Test Labs, we're building a feedback test group. And the idea behind it is really that, as we know, gaming, a lot of it fails. And so what we're trying to help do is be a sounding board and a partner with all the games that are trying to launch, but giving them actionable feedback that projects and teams can take before going to market and spending all their marketing dollars, and running straight to the slaughterhouse essentially. So we want to be we're a Web3 native team primarily, and we have all been a part of a launch that failed. So what we do is we look out for onboarding issues and rub points and red flags, and kind of help projects do pilot launches within a smaller test group that is Dream Test Labs, so that we can identify stuff early and let projects launch with confidence.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been hanging around in their Discord a lot, but Maddox and his team, they're very knowledgeable in this space, and there is a lot of like detail in the feedback and analytics that they provide that I haven't seen. So it's not just like straight up content and just like oh, here you got to work on this. There's a lot of details that are given to teams. So I think we can.
We don't want to send back a sticky note that says "Cool game, bro. Would play again." We dive into what we can, and we take all the feedback and we actually shove it through an LLM we're working on, to take all that data and turn it into some just a readable, digestible report of feedback. Because a lot of times, like if projects have game nights, like we've been a part of the event scene for a while, so that's really what we know a lot well. But like when you get a bunch of feedback forms, what does the team do with 200 pieces of feedback that may or may not be very well put together? We sift through the data and find the trends, and then are able to share it on a pretty slimmed down report, even as detailed as it is. So it's fun.
Awesome stuff. Bus, tell us a summary about Portals and what you guys are building there. Obviously, everyone who knows me knows I love Portals, so you guys know what I'm up to. But yeah, go ahead, Bus.
Yeah, so Portals is all about being a platform where anyone, regardless of their prior background, can come and build games or virtual experiences or any sort of digital 3D event. Anything you really can imagine can be built on the platform. And the best way to kind of highlight this is we're actually doing a game jam right now with Atari and Block of Horror, where we have right now 173 creators signed up. They're all building their own games, and then at the end of next week, they'll all get submitted. We'll have basically a week of grading the games, play testing, and then we'll do like an award ceremony on Halloween. So that is kind of the best way, like if you're wanting to like dive right into what Portals is you can come, you can see what people are building, you can play the games, and we're really just trying to be sort of the Roblox of Web3, where anyone can build a game, they can share the game, and the limitations on what's created is essentially.
Yeah, no, what you guys are doing is really awesome. I think so. I've played like most sandboxes in Web3, and I have a thing, right? It might be a hot take, but I have a thing where I really only see one game per genre in Web3 making it out. You know, getting popular into the masses and breaking out of Web3. I feel like there's only going to be one game per genre that survives. Only because the competition is so rough in the traditional gaming space. There's so many games that shut down, like in the in gaming in
Hey,
general.
Ghost, I think
Yeah.
you might have muted, or is it just me?
Yeah, I don't hear audio.
I don't
Yeah.
hear
Oh.
I
either.
lost you just like mid sentence, maybe a sentence or two back.
Test. Can you
There,
hear me
I
now?
can hear you now. Yes, sir.
Oh, that's so weird. Okay.
I didn't want you to go on a rant before we said that, so
Thank you
Welcome back.
so much. What didn't you hear? Like since I started?
just like the last two sentences, maybe. I don't know.
Okay. Well,
You
well,
cut out right
essentially,
when you were saying that there's only one game that will dominate.
One game per genre has a chance to make it. I think.
yes,
something along those lines.
yeah, and I only say that because the space is so competitive, like the traditional space, right? There's so many games that shut down, that like people don't realize how many games shut down in the traditional space, right? It's more than Web3, obviously. And so when you're making a game, it not only has to compete with the top game in that genre, right? You not only have to meet that space standard that people can experience, but you also got to like do something better than that. So like playing Roblox before I got into Web3, and then seeing all the other games in that genre, in that sandbox genre, Portals stood out to me a lot once I deep dived into it. And what makes it like surpass the current standard of what people are used to with Roblox is, as a builder, it's all browser based. And that's a huge friction point in my opinion. When you're trying to build, you got to download a separate client, right, aside from the game client, and you got to actually know a little bit about coding and all that, so it's not very easy for newcomers. And like what made making games fun, and like let's say Little Big Planet, right? Anyone literally could make a game in Little Big Planet. It was just super easy and simple, and I don't think anyone's done something like that after that, until Portals. It, like, dude, it's so easy to make a game on browser too. It's very easy. You don't gotta download anything. And then for the gaming experience, I've been able to get people from like my stream and from other traditional gaming communities to play games, because I could just send them the link and they could hop in and try it. So like onboarding experience is very easy, right? You don't want that friction point. So that's something I look for when I look for games like in the genres. Like how can they compete with like the top game in that genre, right? Not just amongst the games in Web3. I kind of went off there, but yeah.
We've been pretty fortunate with this current game jam. We're actually running it primarily targeted to Web2 communities. So there's obviously still a large portion of our core Web3 community competing in the game jam, but I went and reached into like a lot of the traditional Web2 game dev discords, and we've been getting a lot of really good feedback from people who have literally never done anything in crypto, are for the most part pretty anti-crypto actually, and they've been jumping in and building a build for the current
That's
game
really
jam.
cool. I think the Atari collab is pretty insane. People are able to use IP from Atari and build games off of that, using that IP, which is what the game jam is. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, kind of on that topic, I guess I'll go through and ask Hantao and Maddox. But like Hantao, for what you're building, like what do you see that makes it different and stand out amongst like everything else that's kind of similar?
Yeah. Well, I would say the biggest thing is we understand who our audience is. Like, we aren't pretending to be a game. Like, we know why people are in crypto. Like, you would never. I worked in traditional gaming for like 10 years doing user acquisition, paid acquisition. Like, you would never reach out to somebody that posts videos about Tesla stocks to promote a video game, right? So that's why it's just like we understand the culture of why people are here and understand like people want their bags to pump. People want to see things go up and to the right. They want to see a number go up that they can collect every day or every week. So just building in a lot of those like native mechanics of what people actually want in crypto and why they're here is what's gonna push us forward.
Awesome. Yeah, I think knowing what demographic you're building for is super important. Obviously, a lot of games miss the mark with that. We're all in Web3, so like there's a reason why we all like it, right? So like we got to capitalize on that when we're building something, because then when you try to pretend to be something you're not, then when that demographic discovers what you really are using, if you're using blockchain, and then it's even worse. The backlash is way worse. So like being upfront and making sure everyone knows what exactly you're building, I think that's super important. But no, that's awesome. Maddox, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but what do you think makes your project, what you're doing at Dream Test Labs, like different amongst other groups, other creator groups? Yeah.
I mean, so for one, we're Web3 native people. So like when it comes to games that have Web3 incorporated aspects, like we've seen what works, we've seen what doesn't work, a lot more of what doesn't work, and what we'd like to see and our expectations, like those all live at Dream Test Labs. So we have that in-house, which is great. And why, I guess to answer the question of like why not just go hire a bunch of Fiverr testers to do the same job, because you're going to get Fiverr tester value, I think. But we're also, we're more than just grabbing. There are other test groups that will grab information from individuals even. So like these are all people that sign into a platform to just join as an individual tester, and from that you're getting a bunch of mixed results because it's all just one to the company, where we do have we vet all of our testers. We make sure that like everybody is relatively on the same page, and we're even going as far as like doing test workshops to talk about kind of the way we want to look at things, and the way we want to share our feedback, and so I think that's what differentiates us versus other test groups, from traditional QA test groups.
Yeah. Awesome.
But just to touch on the point, to go back to like the not to like be negative here, but like I think like just generally the season of gaming is a lot of people are pulling back on like you were talking about competing with other games in the same genre. Like I think as well, I think the pressure of trying to compete with another genre, like with the same genre, but then also saying, and we're Web3, is adding a lot of pressure to the studios. And you're seeing that in like VC backing is backing off of backing anything to do with Web3 gaming. We've seen a lot of even just gaming communities shutting down because of the same, there's nobody that wants to touch it. They might have other technology, AI tech or whatever, and they don't care because it's touching Web3 gaming, and a lot of the money's not wanting to touch that right now, which is unfortunate. So and not to be negative, but it's just a point that I've noticed, and a lot of games too that like are either, if they haven't yet shut down, the ones that are trying to survive on the runway they have, and flopped in some way, and they're trying to do a fumble recover. Some of them are totally pivoting off of the Web3 narrative altogether, and they're trying to, jump on PlayStation, jump on Steam, and hide the fact that there's any Web3 element to their game. And just to go as far as like I know there's Discords that are literally just pulling the plug on their community and starting brand new, Web3 traditional gaming Discords to when they go under review. They don't want anything to do with when and GMs and any of that. They just want to be as far away from it as possible so they can just build a game, which is kind of sad too, but something I've noticed in recent.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
But that's just the consequence of where everyone put their money and their hopes into. I think that's a heavy consequence of that. everyone always says, do your own research, but I don't think a lot of people do their own research. And there's so many telltale signs when looking at a project, whether or not it's legit or whether they're just here to extract, right? Like you can ask basic questions and the founder's like, oh, I don't know, we haven't thought about that yet. It's like, dude, you got to think about everything when you're building. So like, you got to know everything about everything that you're building and bringing up. So like that's something I try to do, like with Moondance. I try to make sure that I have like everything covered and like planned ahead, because I want to be able to answer those questions easily from people and not be like, oh, I don't know, I didn't think about that yet. But yeah, so
it was brought up recently. Sam had a really good audiogram or just a clip about napkin notes, and like it's just talking about just doing a little bit of research into the foresight of what could be can save you a lot of marketing dollars, or just dollars in general. And I think that's what we're trying to do, is just think a little harder before running headfirst into the wall.
Yeah. No, there's a lot you can do, and then obviously like nobody knows the end outcome of a project being this early with everything that's taking place, right? Because games take a long time to be built. Like 4 years, 5 years is not a long time, honestly, especially with new tech. So it does take some time, and you don't know what the outcome would be. So you also have to be able to see potential in things, like the good potential, because then the payout and the benefits are huge, right? Like I'm sure everyone would want to get in early on Fortnite if you had the chance to, if you knew about it back then and were like, okay, it's gonna get popular, I'm gonna hop on it, right? Everyone would want to hop on those opportunities. So you got to be able to see potential too. I think that's really important. I think a lot of people pass that up when they're looking at certain projects. But yeah, so now that y'all know more about the projects, I kind of want to like see your guys' take on everyone's project. So like Bus, like I want to hear your understanding of what Hantao's building and what Maddox is building.
I want to comment on the idea of the playtesters and having that all ran through, because that's actually something that's a huge part of our platform, just with the nature of it. We have pretty inexperienced game, they're pretty much brand new game developers. Some of them have never built a game before, and so the feedback loop is something that we very valuable for our creators specifically, because we'll see usually by like the first game they do is pretty okay, they get a bunch of feedback on it, the second game is better, they get more feedback, and usually by the third game they've built, it's usually pretty good. And so I really like this idea of kind of helping streamline reports of test feedback, because that's usually where we see the most growth from our own creators, is through them getting feedback from actual users. Because one of the hardest things also as like a beginner game dev is when you're building out the game, you're kind of going through this process of constantly testing your own game, and so it always will end up feeling way easier than it actually is to a brand new user.
Yeah.
And so there's a tendency to build games that are too hard, or like you think something's obvious and it's not. I think that's a really interesting idea, to have like a group that gets really good at playtesting, provide feedback is valuable.
I can relate to the, what's going on over there at Portals, because so like my intro to Web3 comes from like the sandbox. I first got introduced to Web3 concept just by like playing in the sandbox, but I was also like, I was learning voxel art, I was learning how to make assets, I was participating in game jams and building experiences out. So it's a very, very like almost one-to-one similar situation. I've dabbled a little bit in Portals before. So, differences of course, but like very, very similar concepts there. And yes, like I've participated in over 30 game jams now, and like when you're the builder, we call it the blinders, right? Like it's like, you know how it's supposed to work. You know the level progression, or the, like, you know, the story to get from quest 1 to quest 7, and you think it works, but until you really get the, like, review of somebody going through it for the first time with no concept of what you're building, I think those insights aren't exposed. And so one trick I would do when I was doing those game jams, I would hand them off to, at the time, my then 5-year-old. She's 9 now, but I was, you know, I'd hand her off a controller and say, hey, like, play this game. Tell me what you think. And she'd say, how? And I'd say, I don't know. How do you play? And like, if it wasn't intuitive enough for a 5-year-old to understand, like, the indicators of where to start and where to end, and the whole, like, game loop of the game, if that wasn't apparent to a 5-year-old, then I had to work harder as a developer to make it that simple, because it is really down to, like, the lowest common denominator if you want everybody who tries out your experience to have fun. So you have to think in that way, and something I went through and learned about and appreciate a lot more now. So yeah, I feel that struggle. And but yeah, that's something we share with projects, and not, like, so we started in games, but like we really have moved on to, like, any consumer facing project. And like, so if it makes sense to you, great, but like, hand it off to your mom, hand it off to your grandma, and see if it makes sense still. You know, and like, and that can go for a website for the first time, a DApp for somebody who's not as Web3 intuitive, a streaming platform. We've done all of these, and with the extra eyes, it can help kind of get past the blinders of things you think should be just natively understood.
Hey, I hand stuff to my wife. Not that she's not smart.
Oh, I heard it.
It is good to get that onboarding experience from a user that doesn't know much about, like, the tech.
Fresh eyes are valuable.
Yes, 100%. But yeah, Bus. Anything, like, what do you understand from what Hantel's building to now? I'm gonna put you on the spot. I'm gonna put everyone on the spot and see if you guys are paying attention.
Yeah. So.
You can ask questions.
Overall,
you can ask questions.
He's testing our he's testing our listening skills, you bastard. Like,
please ask questions.
He's like, give us a hot take on everything. Okay.
Well,
Wait,
so
kinda.
Can I hop in? So like, I've known Hantel a little while now. I've seen the Moku IP before. It's not my first time. So I was aware of this coming out, and I'm excited. But yeah, like, Hantel, I like how you put in, you know, in your summary, is that, like, you're not really advertising this to gamers. You know, I would say that, like, if you love the Gambo, like, you gotta go check out Gotcha Roll, right? That's how I would say, you know, that's the audience I would pin it on. You know, absolutely. But am I wrong there? Is it, like, I just like how you put that.
No, they love the Gotcha.
Yeah, it's the Gotcha. Like, if you love the Gotcha, like, you gotta go to Gotcha Roll. Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
You gotta get to those Destiny Rising players. You like Gotcha?
Yeah, make sure to add waifus too. People really like waifus.
If you like Gotcha, if you like waifus, and so the prize pool derives from a lot of Ronin stuff. Is that correct?
The usage of the network, yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So as people participate more, the prize pool will grow.
That's great.
Win Solana. No,
Solana Maxi.
Yep. What is a Moku or a Moki? What is that?
It's a cute little raccoon fella.
Is that based on a? Is it based on a raccoon?
It's a raccoon dog.
Is that a real animal?
Yeah.
I was half.
Yeah,
there.
it is.
It's a real animal.
Yeah.
Well, wait, is it called? Is it called Moki?
No. So the real animal is called the tanuki. If you ever go to Japan, and you go to, like, any shrines or whatever, it's usually like the black fat things with huge ball sacks drinking wine.
What, bro?
That you'll see as you're climbing, like, shrines and stuff.
I have never seen that in any media or images, bro.
Yes. Now
Yo,
you know.
bro went deep in the lore. That's crazy. All right, I didn't know that. That was a real animal. Okay, that's pretty funny. I just like to ask. I like lore. I like what things are made of. Okay. Bus. I'm gonna keep putting Bus on the spot. No. Hantao. Based on what our friends here, well, you know Maddox too, and you know what he's building, I suppose. But like, do you have any thoughts or questions for Bus on what he's building, or what he's part of? Sorry, he's
yeah.
Yes.
So, I'm pretty sure I was lending on Sharkify your NFTs in like 2022, 2023.
Probably. I think we were the #1 lent collection on Sharkify.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's some more lore for you.
The
I
hell
was
is
actually
Sharkify,
Solana
bro?
OG.
Oh,
You lend NFTs, yeah.
that's kind
I
of
also pretty sure I got one of the claims for a card or something, but I don't know what it was for, because I already moved into gaming at that time instead of, because I was doing like so much lending on Solana. It all went to dust, but like it was a lot. But yeah, and I know what Portals is. You know, it's pretty OG.
Yeah, they've been around for a while.
Yeah, and then for Maddox, I have some more FUD for you.
Please, we're the new kids on the
Yeah.
block. We need it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So game developers are like dreamers,
Yeah.
and they have crazy egos.
Yeah.
So I think your hardest part is actually going to be convincing them that you're right and they're wrong.
It's just like to curb the ambitions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like literally development is just like all scope creep. It's like, okay, we want to launch in 6 months. What can we build? All right, here's the scope of what we want. And then everybody's like, you know what would be cool if we added this feature? You know, it'd be cool if we added that. And then it's like none of those features get tested. None of that shit like
It's just the people wanted it, so here it is. Yep. Good luck.
I feel like I'm
And then
all of that in one.
Yeah, and then they listen to like people who've literally never built games before as well, and they're like, you know, it'd be fun if we made more money. It's like, yeah, everybody would enjoy making more money, but
exactly. Or they just like trail on to like the feedback in the game pages, you know, like all the review pages. They trail off on ideas that like just spark gold ideas from there, and just the direction is lost, you know. But sorry, go on. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's probably the hardest thing that you'll probably face. Yeah. Selling your product and services.
Yeah, and that's what we want to be the you know, trusted gamer voices, you know, that they can kind of hone in on, you know, to kind of be a, you know, an algorithm of different like gamer needs. And yes, we also like, we'd love to share like, you know, that sounds great. However, I think we could start in some ways it does peter into like almost some advisory level conversations, is what we've come to at the end of our feedback loops, which is really nice. And most of the teams we've worked with so far have been very receptive to that, and they're like, oh yeah, like that makes sense. And so we just really wanted to be like ear to the ground gamers that are a trusted voice on the team somewhat, you know, or just, you know, be able to be that backboard, you know. So far it's not been a lot of like head to head, which is great. And we can give honest feedback without like cutting them off at the knees. You know, we always promote like being loving and kind, but also realistic, and you know, be able to share what we need to say when something's not right, which is great. And come with solutions too, because I think anytime we bring up a problem, I preach this at DTL a lot, is just like, you don't come to the table with problems without some plausible solutions or some, you know, way to think about it differently. So that's been something we try to hold to.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have that problem where I want to do too much, and honestly, Bus has kind of been my buffer here with like making me realize you know, what's not possible, what's possible, like in general, because I do have a problem where like, okay, I want this to happen. I want this to do. I want, I want so much. Um, but yeah, it's nice having that feedback, honestly, because if you try to take on too much for what you're building, it's just gonna fail and like tumble because yeah, there's so much work that goes into everything. Even simple games, there's a lot of work to put into it.
I'll also say, like, I think that like one of the things that we pitch with is like we're trying to save you marketing dollars. So those are two crowds that it's really hard to compete with. Hantao is like marketing agencies and VCs. When people have a lot of money riding on something and they say, hey, like we need token now, we need this to happen right now, regardless of your readiness, like make our money double. It's really hard to compete with that because we haven't obviously invested a whole bunch of money in them. They're paying us to help provide feedback, but when the feedback is like you need to slow your roll on this because we're not ready for this to launch or be big, you need to go back to the drawing board on something, and they're like, that's probably the most anticipated concern I've had, is that like some VCs breathing down their neck saying go forward when they really shouldn't. So I think that's something that the space in general is maturing a little in. We're seeing it, of course, like a lot of the indie teams are, we know of a couple indie teams that are doing really, really well, like a lot with very little. And then once the game is solid enough that it's got a good play loop and people are enjoying it without all the bells and whistles, then they're going for funding. I think that's been a really interesting watch for a couple of games we have in our network. But we really do want to like ultimately get the ideal clients for us are the people who aren't yet at their marketing stage. I wanted to say we were part of the go-to-market strategy, but we're really like the pre-go-to-market strategy if we can help it. That's the goal in mind, just so we can. I want people to put. I want more. I don't want Web3 to be known for like there's no good games in Web3. There are games in Web3, just not good ones. Like I hate that narrative, and I want to see more playable games in our space. So that's something we're trying to find and help produce.
Yes, it would help with creators in the space too to have something to actually grind and play. Because like a lot of the projects you play once and you make a clip once and that's kind of the content, unless you do like info about like the markets and like deep dive info. But like for like gameplay content, it is kind of difficult to have something that you can do like spend a lot of hours in.
Bless Icy on that one, like I'll call him out, but like there's been a couple of creators already that like have put games in our direction because they want like a stamp of approval that it's something worth making content on first, which is really nice. And I'd love to be able to say one day like that we're this benchmark to reach or a fact check to check, before going to market. That would be really cool. But it would be nice to be able to stamp somebody with a DTL stamp of approval one day and be like, y'all are ready for the next steps. Go for it. Go hit marketing. Go crazy. But yeah. We'll see.
All right. Maddox, you were talking, but I'm going to ask you a question again. Same question. You got any?
I'm done talking.
Do you have any questions or thoughts for Bus on Portals?
Yeah. So like, I'll bring it back to so like one of the turnoffs, because I was huge in the SandFam and the Sandbox community. I think one of the rub points for me though, like as a creator in that space, was access to sell my experience or sell my assets in a marketplace. I feel like towards the end of my reign over there, like there were a lot of like they really leaned on like partnered sponsors to be in the marketplace when they were selling all the creators' dreams that like their stuff could be in the marketplace and sellable one day. What's Portal's player marketplace or creator marketplace looking like for generated content?
Bus, are you muted?
Bus died.
Oh no. Bus, you're muted. We can't hear you. I know he's got that answer and he's itching to get to it. Maybe his headphones died. Bussy, Oh, he left.
I'll
He's
go.
away.
I'll direct something at Hantao then. So Hantao, like I love the gacha, but I also am not rolling in gacha funds. What's a way that I can get involved without like, getting my wife mad at me for spending the propane bill on
Bro said I'm poor.
Moku?
How do I play
I'm poor, but how do I get involved just to get the itch under my belt so I might be incentivized to spend something?
Yeah, so the best way is to buy a booster box right now. I think it's about like $40.
Yeah.
Just under $40. 30, I think it's like, yeah, something around there right now.
Yeah.
You're gonna get 150 cards. That'll give you a lot of diversity to play.
Cool.
If you can't afford $50, then what I would recommend is you wait until the season starts, and then that way you can buy just a lineup that you want and strategize around it, and that should probably cost you like $2 to $3.
Like buying the cards that specifically the cards that I want versus.
Yeah, correct.
Nice.
To compete
Wait,
with, yeah.
After secondary market, like deck building.
Secondary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
I have more questions there, but I'll let Bus answer Maddox's question.
Bounce all
Can you
of
hear
that.
me now?
Yes.
Yes, Buzz.
Let's go.
Okay. Yeah. So, to answer the question on player markets, there's like actually kind of a long backstory into our approach for it, but I'll try and simplify it and get through it as quickly as possible. About a year ago, we started introducing more of like the NFT cosmetics, wearables, collectibles, that sort of thing. And what we quickly found is when it comes to creator wearables and UGC content in general, Web3 participants tend to have a little bit of too much FOMO, and it leads to a lot of people ending up overspending on things. The money kind of gets pulled out of the ecosystem, and you end up in these cycles where there's a bunch of excitement, there's a bunch of hype, things are selling, and then it dies down, and then there's no money left, and liquidity's out of the ecosystem, and then you're kind of like dug yourself into a hole. And so we saw this start to happen about a year ago, and ended up coming up with a new solution, which is what we call backed assets. And the general idea of these assets is you can purchase a game asset, and at any time you can get a full refund for it. And what this does is it kind of takes away the stress and risk of like losing your capital on buying a cosmetic that's maybe trendy, or you're FOMOing into buying, because it doesn't matter if you pay for it now and you regret it later, you can just get a refund. And so we've designed the system specifically for our creators, and that way, as we start allowing them to fully release their own collectibles, it sort of lines up the spend a little bit more with the longevity of what they're putting out. It's kind of a natural filtering system for the player's economy, the UGC content in general, where instead of all the money going to creators and then getting, I don't want to say extracted, because obviously creators need to make money, but there's a lot of observable ecosystems where you can see money goes in. This happened with NFTs. This happened with like the one-of-one art scene. A lot of money comes in. There's excitement. It's busy. There's volume, and then it dies. And so we've built this system for our creators to have longer legs, be longer lasting. It's more difficult for our creators to monetize compared to being able to take the entire mint proceeds, but the potential upside is we end up building sort of a liquidity layer across our game economy, where when a wearable or cosmetic is no longer desirable, we'll get their money back. That flows into new creations, and kind of keeps the economy going. That's kind of like the theory behind like how we're designing this. We're just now starting to roll that out. So we have, and this is a bit of alpha, we have our first creator wearable
Alpha?
going live in about 14 days, Halloween mint. And then we'll have another one about 2 weeks later. We're doing it a little bit in a phased process, and then we'll eventually, the next step of this will be going to basically you submit for the ability to mint uh, into the ecosystem, and then once that process has been like iterated on enough, we'll end up just fully opening.
Nice.
Yeah, alpha is crazy. But yeah, Maddox, where you would make your money selling mints
Yeah, that was my next question.
where
Yeah.
you would make money is the fees. So you could have like a dollar or two fee on the mint that people pay. You would get that fee, and you'll also get royalties from like secondary market. And what also helps with the backed assets is when you redeem it, it burns that NFT to get your money back. So when people redeem, it also lowers the supply quantity. So as people do that, it also makes your NFT more rare, and that will hopefully help the secondary market and be like, oh wait, this is going down. Kind of want this more. If you make cool stuff.
I'm not a
Right.
tokenomics guy, but like where at what point, if I wanted to buy an asset and then like it lives in my wallet forever, where's the backed at what point does the backed amount become somebody's?
The backed amount's always the owner of the NFT. So the backing, the way we do it, is actually stored in the NFT itself.
Mm-hmm.
So from like an on-chain perspective, what happens is when we mint the NFT, the NFT gets a PDA wallet, which is a program-derived address,
Mhm.
and then your funds get deposited into that wallet. That wallet is controlled, and the sign authority is the NFT itself. And so whoever owns the NFT has the rights to the mint fund.
Super interesting. So if that asset's sold on secondary, is that new owner able to earn the asset and get the refund?
Yes. Yeah, and
Okay.
and the NFTs themselves will also be earning yield depending on like the backing. So you can have like an LST, which I'm not sure how deep into the Solana ecosystem you are, but we have like LSTs in Solana which allow you to earn yield that accrue the yield to the token. And so you can be basically staking Solana, but it's just wrapped inside this game asset. You could like buy a Ghost Cat T-shirt, picture of him after this, and then
That's crazy.
it could be earning yield in your wallet. You're getting that yield. You get a hold of the game asset. You could sell it on secondary, and then that yield and everything would transfer over to people. So one of the general ideas behind all of this is like capital preservation. We've seen a lot of gaming ecosystems where the capital of the users isn't protected as much as it should be. Like you see all of the gaming ecosystems where I don't want to say they were taken advantage of, because I think that's not necessarily what was intended, but everybody has a limit on the amount of liquidity and capital they have. And if you design the economy where they don't have capital preservation in mind, they won't preserve their capital. And it changes the user psychology compared to like a Web2 where you're buying the game asset for the game asset. If we're being honest about Web3, everybody's kind of buying the NFTs with the underlying assumption that like, hey, this might be worth more and I might want to sell it later.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is like if you don't preserve the underlying amount they pay for it, it's inevitably going to go to zero if there's no new demand. And so the idea with this backed assets is like, hey, this will never go to zero. It could potentially increase in value, but you can like have peace of mind that it's not going to zero. Your funds are held, they're accessible, and if there's no upside to it, if you end up later on coming to the conclusion that like, hey, this isn't going to go up in value, you just redeem it, get your money back, and place your bet on something else.
Cool.
I think that's really
And-
awesome.
I'm going to turn it back to Hantao. You guys were doing a raffle ticket sale. I know about this. One of my right hands on DTL, Valent, was pretty big on buying raffle tickets. And there was a system of like, if you didn't win the raffle, there was some kind of way you could still win without losing all your raffle ticket money.
Yeah, so we did a raffle before for the Moki NFT mint,
Mhm.
and then we locked in $10 million in that mint, and we were like, okay, Grand Arena is going to come and it's very complex. So how can we capture some more, but also give people some more upside as well?
Yeah.
So essentially, we designed a second chance shop where people could buy gems a little bit cheaper than what they would be able to buy during the season. Also get card boxes, cards, promo cards, champion slots, which are used to get royalties in the game, and a couple other mechanics. So our intention was just like building additional ways for people to engage and get early access to what you'll need in Grand Arena.
Perfect. So you're never missing out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love it.
We got a few minutes till we reach an hour. I don't want to keep you guys too long because I know everyone's pretty busy here except for Maddox. But Bus already shared some alpha, so I was gonna go around the room and ask if you guys had any alpha that you wanted to share about what you're building or what you're on. Bus, feel free to share alpha. I love alpha. Alpha's the best. It's like coffee, almost.
Main alpha from us. There's an event on Halloween to stay at a reminder for. It hasn't been announced what the details are, but that will be the mint I was hinting at. We also have an upcoming film festival next week, or wait, 2 weeks. The same week as Halloween, we'll have a horror film festival, private screening of a new film, and a couple other events around Halloween. So
what the hell,
that'll be
brother?
fun.
That's cool. I didn't know that. Hantal, any alpha you'd like to share about Moku, the Grand Arena?
Yeah, sure. We're gonna have our first watchability testing for the game coming up. It's just gonna be a close group of our community, but we're gonna be doing that, and then we're gonna start the preseason where people can train their Mokis later in the month or start in November, and then that's when the preseason will start.
Well, are you you're making a game?
It's a game played by AI that people can speculate on, but
So
the
is it
game is
kinda
more
like,
dynamic.
Is it kind of like what are those things with the little animals you take care of?
Tamagotchis?
Yeah, like that.
It's closer to like Salty Bets. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that before.
No, I'm not.
It's a Web2. It's on Twitch. You can watch it, and it's just like fighting game 24/7 that you can bet salty bucks
What
over.
the heck? Yo, that's crazy. That's pretty cool. Okay.
Nice.
Well, we'll have to learn more about what you're building too. Maddox, any alpha on Dream Test Labs?
Yeah. We are. Is it too early to say this? We're working on a way to make it easier for our testers to kind of have a place in DTL. So we're currently working on a backend like dashboard for testers as well as for potential clients and folks that need stuff tested, so they can link up with the right demographic of people to test their products. So that's something exciting. If you guys, anybody is, everybody who has eyes and an opinion is more than welcome to come to DTL. We have a server that is welcome to all. Everybody starts as a lab buddy, but if you want to become a tester, it's just a form, and as long as you're a real human being, we'll get to know you and vet you a little bit and get you on the test team. And we have plenty of opportunities coming up, and we're only getting more popular, so we need as many tester hands as we possibly can. Alpha, we are looking currently for FPS enthusiasts because we have something we're looking forward to in December.
Maddox wants GhostCat.
If you like playing, you don't have to be good at them. You just
Whoa, bro, why'd you gotta say that when I said that you wanted me, and then you're like, you don't gotta be good at them, and you looked at me.
You don't have to be good at the game.
That's crazy.
GhostCat. So, but no, you don't have to be good at FPS games. Just that you like them. You would be most welcome in our next test going on. So that would be awesome.
Awesome. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And do I have any alpha on Moondance? Thank you, GhostCat. I will be dropping full game details once we have the official game cover is being worked on by the same artist that did the characters on the TCG that I made. Hugo Blendl, dude is awesome. He did like 4 seasons on Rick and Morty for animation. And a bit of a flex for him, they actually contacted him recently to help finish the current season of Rick and Morty, and he declined it because he's working on his own studio. He loves Web3, which is really cool. He's super bullish on the tech and everything. So it's super awesome to have him work on like a lot of the art that I want for Moondance. So right now he's working on the game cover for the game that I'm building on Portals. And once that's done, I'll be posting about like the full gameplay details and the gameplay loop, which I will run through Bust again to make sure that everything's possible and that I'm not asking for too much. But yeah, super cool and super awesome to have all of you guys here. Thank you so much, Bust, Hantal, Maddox, for showing up and taking the time to be here. I know you guys are actually all really busy with what you're building and the space in general. So I appreciate it. For anyone who watches the VOD on YouTube, if you have any questions about Portals, about Moku, Grand Arena, or about Dream Test Labs for what Maddox is building, leave a comment in the video and I'll try to get to those. I have the links to their X accounts in the description of the video. I'll be posting the website links there as well for everyone to click on and check out. But make sure to like the video, subscribe, and then I tagged Maddox and Hantout in the video as well for their YouTube channels. They also live here and they make content, so go check them out. Bus doesn't make content because he's too busy at Portals, and he leaves me on red sometimes in the DMs. It's a little fun fact. But yeah, if you guys have any closing thoughts, want to say bye to the stream?
Thank you for having us. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Ghostcat.
Thanks for hosting.
Sorry for
Appreciate it,
leaving you on
guys.
red.
It's okay. All right, guys. We'll catch you next time. Peace out.